Great day, attractive thinkers and visual encouragers around the world. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. This is where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs with the mental tools for mental healing and mental strength and mindset maintenance as you give birth to your ideas, be it a book or a business or whatever your idea is for a transformation or your goals or whatever you desire to do with your life. It's going to call for mental resources because you're shifting from one mindset to another. You're shifting from one identity to another. Welcome, my co host, Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We get to do what we've never did, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. I promise you, it's a great day to be alive.
Yes, it is to shed. I love how you say that. Attractive thinkers, I have my attractive thinker notebook handy. I want you to pull out your attractive thinker notebook because today we're going to be talking about a topic that is absolutely necessary when you encounter life and its experiences. And if you haven't already done so, I want you to run over to Amazon and grab your copy of the Attractive Thinker today. You definitely want to have this. Why? Because it is a mental resource. This 726-page transformational experience will support you with this transition. It'll support you with reaching your goals and overcoming the mental blocks. We all have these mental blocks that we encounter when we're transforming our lives because you're changing identities. You're shifting from who you used to be to this other person that you desire to be, and it calls for mental tools. This resource will support you in the experiences, the circumstances, and the situations that you will face. You will face going forward. So make sure you have your copy. But I want to encourage you right now to get your Attractive Thinker notebook out because we're going to be talking about it's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's what we're talking about today. It's not, well, you might say, well, what is it, Dr. Toni, that you're talking about? We're talking about situations and experiences that you're going to face on your journey to whatever transformational change you desire to make in your life. And if you're an attractive thinker like you are, you will continue to have new goals for new transformations and changes, and you will evolve into greater versions of yourself. You don't just wake up one day evolved. You have to apply certain disciplines in your life. You have to apply certain mental tools. You have to confront yourself. You have to confront who you are now and be willing to embrace and invite who you desire to be. You have to become one with that. And that's a lot of mental work. And that's why we exist to support you with that. Why? Because as new and aspiring entrepreneurs, when you embark upon something new or something different, it's easy to pull back to who you used to be when you begin to face challenges. This is why we exist, because we don't want you to retreat. We need your gifts. The world needs what you have to offer. You're here to give birth to the desires of your heart. Nobody has your heart but you. Nobody can write your book but you. Nobody can start your business idea and prosper in it like you. So you need the mental resources. We've encountered so many things on our own personal journeys, and this is why Beyond the Break exists to support you in living life beyond a break, be it a heartbreak or a break in a success. Now you might say, well, Dr. Toni, what do you mean by a break in a success? When we go from success to success, let's say you're preparing for an event as an entrepreneur, you're hosting this event, or you're preparing for your book signing. A lot of energy goes into that, a lot of mental energy, not just physical energy. It takes mental fortitude to stand up on the stage in your life and share your experiences with an audience. It takes mental strength to believe that what you have to share is worth hearing. not just worth hearing, but it's worth someone paying for it, that is valuable. That takes a lot of attractive thinking energy to do that. So when you prepare for such an event and all that it entails, and you're anticipating, you're looking forward to, it takes energy to even greet people, to address your audience, to answer their questions. You know, Tasha and I hosted events down through the years, on and offline, and we know what energy it takes to create a successful event and serve the attractive thinkers and visual encouragers in a way that they receive the healing or the transformation or the resources and solutions that they need. It takes energy to do that. You need mental tools because you have to replenish yourself. You have to stay mentally strong. You have to be fortified. You're going to encounter, see, hosting an event or having your book signing or even your opening for your business, it's not just about the physical energy that you're exerting. It takes mental energy, and you're putting forth a lot, to the point whereas once the event is over, you need to recover. If you're like me, you're creative. Attractive thinkers all are always creating the next thing. We never run out of ideas. So how do you live between successes? How do you live from event in between event, events, or from event to event? Because that adrenaline, that energy, that passion, that drive, and that desire, once you finish with the event and close it out and it's a success, you're there, and you're in recovery mode. You have to be replenished and restored, and your mind is thinking about the next thing and how you're going to do it again, and then you're thinking about all the response that you got. It that takes a lot, and you have to recover from that. So living beyond that break in a success, what do you do? And what I'm saying is, I remember watching a movie with about Elvis, and he had a hard time living between the stages. He would perform, he would give his all on the stage and in front of millions of people. And once that was over and people are packing up the stage, the drum sets are being packed up and the mics are being taken down, all the cords are being unplugged, and then he goes home to his wife and his daughter. He had a hard time living in that energy. Because, see, when you're in your creative energy, that's one energy. But then when you're living between these breaks, either you're in a break, you're coming out of a break, or you're entering in, into or living beyond the break. Those are different energies, and you feel that. That means those are different beings. You have to be different people in these spaces. You're a different person on the stage than you are at home. You're a different person on the stage than you are when you're preparing to be on the stage. It's totally different, and that takes energy. And you need to know how to prosper in all of these identities, in all of these spaces beyond the break. You have to know how to function, how to not lose yourself during a heartbreak, how to not crumble, how to not let life and its circumstances get the best of you and strip you down to barely nothing. You have to remember who you are, and that's why the Attractive Thinker book is full of mental tools and resources to keep you mentally strong so that you are aware and awake and you don't lose yourself between these breaks. Tishet, talk to us today. When we talk about it's not worth it, what we're talking about, it's not worth you losing yourself when you're faced with life and its challenges and its circumstances. It's not worth you coming out of character to address people that aren't your customers or clients, that aren't here for the gifts that you bring. It's not worth you losing heart. It's not worth you allowing people access into your spirit to damage and break your heart. Talk to us, Tishet. It's not worth it.
Absolutely. And true, it is not worth it to, relapse on your progress just because people have opinions about you, what you're doing, what you offer, anything you've ever done. People are going to have opinions. That's one of the things that I noticed. People are going to have opinions. And when you come across people that have opinion, this is one of the things I posted on Instagram, Dr. Toni, the weekend. I said, um, the one thing that people are going to have is the audacity,
Mm.
and they're going to have the nerve. But add to that, they're also going to have the opinions, right? To those people, you offer them a comfortable seat behind a strong boundary so
Mm-hmm.
that they can watch you flourish from the sidelines,
Mm.
right? And I put emphasis behind the strong boundaries. You know, when you at a concert and they have this, the boundaries going on, and they have the barriers and stuff
Mm-hmm.
going on where you can see them, but you can't participate in what they're doing. You
Mm-hmm.
can see, you can watch them, but you can't go up there and interact with what they're doing. This is what you have to do with people who have the nerve to come to you with their ideas, thoughts, and stuff that doesn't match, or the audacity to speak on you when they have yet to do anything in their own life, or the opinions that does not should not hold weight. But let's talk
That's right.
about the opinions that you may hold weight for a second, right? Because when you start doing the inner work, your spirit takes off the cavities, the hardening of the heart. It starts to break off some of that hardening in your heart, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
start to feel free and breathing. And anything you know that is free and breathing is porous,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it allows passages in and out. It allows a flow to come in and out. So you become porous in your spirit. When you are porous in your spirit, you have to be careful not to let certain things that does not belong in your pores in your pores. So just like how you take care of your face, you do those removals. You know, you might do that charcoal mask to remove some of the stuff from your pores. You might have certain cleansers that you use to remove your pores. You have to do the same thing with your spirit, with your mind. You have to do the same thing even with your body. You have to remove those toxins
Mm-hmm.
from every area of your life. And that's what other people's opinions are. It is toxic. So when you start breaking down some of these traumas and stuff, and you start working in your spirit on who you are and start building up that power, your spirit becomes free. And when it becomes free to move in and out. It becomes free to receive. But see, just because you can don't mean you should. Like we said last week, when it comes to receiving things, you don't have to receive everything somebody offers you. So when you come upon people who are giving opinions, you have to understand that what position that person plays in your life before you let those opinions become weight,
Mm.
become valuable. What place does that person have in your life? Are they in the proper position to be able to tell you what you should or should not be doing, what you can and cannot do, what you know what you decided and what you didn't decide? Do they have the right to tell you that? And here's another thing I've learned coming up off of this break, right? Um, that when people offer their opinions, I have to consider the source. What are they saying? Did it work for them? Did it change their life, or is it just because what's good for the goose is supposedly good for the gander?
Mm-hmm.
What they're offering to you does not have to stand for your life. So this is why we have to be delivered from other people's opinion, right? We have to understand that not everybody's opinion needs to hold weight. And so when you put people in their proper place in your life, you realize that the most opinion that holds the most weight is yours, is your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everybody else. I don't care who it is. It's not everybody else. You're supposed to be in charge and in responsibility of your deed to happiness. You're in charge of your freedom,
Mm.
right? Nobody's holding chains on you. If you're not locked in a jail cell, you are free to make a decision to choose to go or choose to not go. Remember, I told you your life is built up through a series of yeses and nos.
Mm.
Nobody's holding a chain on you to tell you, yes, you have to do this, or no, you don't have to do this. You have the ability to try so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have, because this human experience that we have gives us the ability to try things. So why do we feel like we need to be stuck doing something we don't love when there's millions of options and opportunities out here waiting for us to explore?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't have to do that one thing. See, the only time we allow ourselves to endure pain is when it's helping us build muscle. But we never accept misery, right? There's a difference, because pain at a certain level will lead you to misery. It is up to us to understand what part that pain plays in our life, right? Because nothing is coincidental. Everything has a purpose in our life. Even our pain has a purpose. So we have to allow ourselves to understand what point do we tolerate things and what point we let it go. You know, if I'm lifting weights and I'm doing certain sets, it's not going to be easy, right? Sometimes if you are doing, like, let's say you're doing 3 sets of 25s with 40-pound weights, when you on your first set, it might not be as hard as it is on your second set. But on your second set, you endure the pain, but you have a boundary, or you have a level of tolerance that you have. Like, you're not going to push past what your body can't take. You have to listen to your spirit and your body at all times. See, how you do anything is how you do everything. They tell you, listen to your body. It's telling you what to do. You have to listen to your spirit.
Yes.
It's telling you what you need to do. So if your spirit don't feel right about something, let's see what the root of that is. Let's see why that is. So when you start doing the root work, we become porous, right? Because we're in receiving mode. We are receiving wisdom. We are receiving power. We are receiving thoughts and ideas that help us grow. We are not receiving trash. You are not going to take bleach and put it on your cheek.
Yeah, that's right.
Just because it disinfects the surface does not mean it needs to disinfect your cheek. You have to have common sense on some things when it comes to healing and on your journey and living in power and stuff. Everything ain't for you, like we said last week. You have to allow yourself, as a porous being, to have boundaries for what you let in your spirit. So when you're doing the root work, you set up things in place for when somebody comes to offer you their opinion. Somebody comes to offer you what they think you should and should not do. Again, understanding what place people play in your life is important here, because you can have somebody that play an important part of your life come in and say something that triggers you, and you're caught off guard because you never thought that they would say it, or maybe you did, but you made excuses for it. Maybe you did know they were going to say it, but you made excuses for it, and you let them in anyway because of what they did for you, right? Because of they were there at one time, and when you had this going on, we have all kinds of excuses why we put certain people in places, right? But when you are in your successes, people really show you who they are. When you are in your failures, people are showing you who they are. Either way, believe them.
Yeah.
And then adjust yourself and govern yourself accordingly. Everybody should not be able to put their mouth on your happiness and who you are and your spirit. Everybody should not be able to put their mouth in your business. Everybody should not be able to dictate to you how you live your everyday life. That is your choice. You wanted to come in this human experience to take on, being able to evolve and coming into yourself and having certain different experiences and situations and circumstances going on in your life. You wanted to discover who you are. And when you're on a journey of discovering who you are, there's some protective measures you have to take place. What do you say to yourself when someone breaks the boundary? What's the security measure that you have in place? Do you have anybody to talk to when you can't figure out what the security measure is? Do you have anybody that you trust that can help you listen enough to be an outlet for when you feel like somebody broke your boundaries? What do you do for broken boundaries? So that's one of the questions I would like to pose to you, Dr. Toni. What type of measures, security measures, or what type of measures should people take when someone they trusted has broken their boundary?
That's a great question, Tashet. While you were talking, I was thinking to myself, there are some foundational pieces that need to be in place, and one prior to having these experiences. And one of them is having the proper perspective of people. You have to lay that foundation before you step out there serving your customers and clients, interacting with teams, and partnering and doing collaborations and things like that for your business, even planning a book signing, writing your book and getting it published before you start interacting with people, because you're going to interact with all different kinds of people. You can't guarantee who's who. So you have to sit with yourself prior to these engagements and establish a strong foundation, an attractive thinker perspective for handling, dealing with, and encountering and experiencing people. Establish that first. What do I mean by that? Because other than that, like Tasha said, if you don't establish this perspective ahead of time, then they can catch you on the blind side. It can catch you off guard. Situations and circumstances, comments, opinions. I call them well wishers, people that offer advice that's really not good advice at all. So you have to have a perspective already in place, and not just uh, in your head. I was sharing with you not long ago. I carry index cards around with me with my perspectives on there, with how I want to respond, or what I feel like, what is the result that I want to get from interactions. And you set your own boundaries. And then when situations arise, or if these are close people, close relationships, you can say, well, these are my boundaries, or this is how I would like to communicate. These are the ground rules for communication, or these are my red flags. That's effective communication, so that when you're communicating, you're getting a result, and things aren't blowing up, and you're not getting a result, and or you're on one wavelength and the other person's on another wavelength. You have to have these things in place. So having the proper perspective of people, meaning, like Tashet said, you said, their opinion should not hold weight. Understand what position people play in your life. Understand now when you understand what role and what weight they carry in your life, you can better handle the comment or the opinion or the advice, or the negativity, whatever it might be, because you place people in categories, and you discern and determine what kind of weight they hold in your life. You don't take, for a person who doesn't carry a lot of weight in your life, don't take their opinion, and especially if it's offensive, you wouldn't take that to heart, and then start second guessing yourself, and then start wondering why you wrote the book anyway, or maybe you shouldn't have created the business idea, especially with someone who doesn't have that much weight in your life. So you have to establish this ahead of time, because I've discovered the same mouths that celebrate you and praise you, and talk about how wonderful you are the same mouths that have the potential to tear you down and talk about you and criticize what you're creating in your life. So if you place your success and results and your potential, and you place your validation, whether you're doing good or not, in their hands, then they have the potential to deter you, derail you, raise your self-esteem or lower your self-esteem. They have the potential to pull your strings. You don't give anybody that kind of power in your life. I think I heard a celebrity recently say that, um, if they, it may have been, I think it may have been Whitney Houston. It was a celebrity that I heard talking recently, and they may have quoted Whitney Houston. She said, if I put my weight and my value and my self-esteem in people that are writing good things about me, then I also will end up putting my weight and my value and my self-esteem in the negative things that people say about me. What she was saying was she doesn't put her weight at all in what people say, because if she does it for one side of the spectrum, she has to do it for the other side. And that way you're taking your power back. Tashet, you said it. You said the only person's opinion that really should have weight in your life is your own. And trusted mentors and people you trust and dear friends who you know have your back, who are your friend for real, for real. Those are the
True.
people that you get your advice from, and oh, they, you take their opinions, and because even if it's constructive criticism, it's not hurtful because you're not taking it to heart, because you know from which what source that's coming from, what spirit and energy that's coming from. But when you leave your heart wide open, and people can say anything and pull your string, you popping off. See, today's topic is it's not worth it for a reason. What's not worth it? You losing your peace is you. Okay, when I looked up the word worth to Shet, it means equal in value. So let's think about that for a moment. Equal in value. That means congruent. That means the same. That means carrying the same weight. So is peace worth more than having the last word? Which one is more valuable? Which one carries more weight? Peace or having the last word? Um, is peace more valuable than blowing up your spirit and being disturbed? Because remember I said early on in this message, you need your energy. It takes a lot of energy to be you as an attractive thinker and visual encourager. It takes a lot of energy to be an author and market and sell your book and serve your customers and clients. It takes a lot of energy to start a business and serve your customers and clients and have staff and teams and products and services. It takes a lot of energy. When I look at those two types of entrepreneurs, authors, and business owners, I don't see any room for allowing people who aren't authors and business owners to have a word in your life, to have a space in your life, to be able to speak in your life, because they don't understand the kind of energy that you're in to create and do what you're doing and to be who you are. So why would we, Tishet, allow someone's opinion or their voice or some words about what we're doing? Why would we allow it to affect us so deeply? Sometimes when you find that what people say affects you so deeply, you have to sit with yourself and ask yourself why. Why did what they say, even if it wasn't true, why did it affect me so deeply? Because you want to get to the root of whatever that is in you, so that no matter what people say, because it's not in you, you're not affected. You can keep right on creating. You can keep right on moving. You can step right up on the stage after somebody just said something horrible to you, or just criticize your outfit or your book, or said you're charging too much. You can walk right up on the stage and serve the people you're here to serve without your spirit being disturbed, without you losing your peace, or coming, they call it coming out the bag on people. Is it worth it to come out the bag? Because as attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, when we lose our cool, it takes us a lot of energy to get back into our happy space, into our creative space, into our leadership space. So it's not worth it to lose yourself over things that don't matter. You have to ask yourself, um, is it worth it, you explaining and explaining and explaining just so you won't be misunderstood? Misunderstand me, because I've already exhausted. I have already exhausted all of my energy and my kindness trying to explain why I do this, or why I'm here, or why I say this, or why I show up this way, or why I price my prices this way, or whatever. I've already exhausted all the explaining. If I find myself in a situation where I'm being questioned about things in my business that I've already been coached through and grew through and prepared and created and things like that, it's an indication I'm talking to the wrong person. So you have to end the conversation gracefully. You have to end the conversation because it's not worth it. You have to ask yourself, if I continue this conversation or this interaction, what is the fruit? What will the result be? Are we moving towards a result, a productive result? If we're not, I'm not interested in entertaining your many words. I'm not interested in you filibustering. I'm not interested in your explanation that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. You have to set these boundaries and have this proper perspective ahead of time. This foundation needs to be in place, or people will pull your strings. You're leaving yourself wide open to be controlled by people and their opinions of you and their advice for what you're doing that they're not doing. You have to be mindful that as an attractive thinker and visual encourager, you have to be mentally prepared to handle people, encounters, situations, and circumstances. So that, you know why this is important? Because you want to, at the end of the day, you don't want to have anything to apologize for. At the end of the day, you don't want your peace disturbed. You don't want to be into regret, shame, and guilt. And you know how the mind works. I wish, man, I don't know why I didn't think about. I should have said this, or I should have said that, or I should have did this, or I should have did. You don't want the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. If you have the proper perspective and you establish your responses ahead of time and you program them in, you review them once a day, just review your responses on how you're going to respond when things aren't so favorable so that you keep your peace, so that you walk away with no regrets. So it calls for practice. Make sure you take a look at page 530 in the Attractive Thinker book entitled Save Your Energy, Haters Are a Part of the Process. You want to read that because you have to get these things down in your spirit, so that, because everybody doesn't deserve a response from you. Do you know when you respond to someone, you're giving them your energy? You could be going about your day and someone will call your name or want your attention or ask you a question, whatever. As soon as you give them your attention, you're giving them your energy. As soon as you stop what you're doing, you're giving them your energy. So you really have to discern this. You really have to sit yourself down and decide how you want to um because energy is like cash. You're making transactions all throughout the day with your energy. So you really have to sit down and decide where you want to spend your energy and what's not worth your energy, because it really is not worth it for you to lose you for someone who's not even going to use the energy that you gave them. They're not, and some people aren't even interested in coming to a good resolve. Some people just want to talk to you. Some people want to move you off of your peace path. Some people want to disturb your peace and your energy. Some people want to make you upset because you're doing so well in your life. I want you to think about that. Yes, that's a real thing that really does exist. You say, well, Dr. Toni, that's that. Yes. Trust me, it exists. There are people out here that don't have anybody to talk to, and they see you're moving and shaking and you're making things happen, and they want your time. And they will come up with anything to talk about. What do you do, attractive thinker, when you're caught in a situation? You found yourself drawn into a conversation that you're trying to windle your way out of, that you know it's not going anywhere. What do you stand there and let them finish? That's not attractive thinking. What do? You stand there and don't say anything? Or you stand there tapping your foot or looking at your watch or trying to walk away? No, no, no. You have to be mentally strong inside and guard your energy. And you sit down prior to these experiences, and then you decide, would craft up something that you're going to say when you find yourself in situations that you don't need to be in, that aren't productive. People stopping you on the go and wanting to say, at book signings, people want to tell you their whole life story while you're trying to autograph their book. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? When you're getting ready for a speaking engagement, you're trying to stay focused and you don't want a lot of interaction, and everybody sees you in the hallway and they want to say, so everybody has to say something as you pass by. What are you going to say? If you have these tools in place prior to that experience, you can save yourself a lot of heartache, a lot of interactions that take you out of character or affect your spirit before you go and, perform or be on stage or present yourself. Tichet, when we talk about it's not worth it, we're talking about the value of your peace, being mindful of the value of your peace, your love, your joy, your creativity, and your spirit, placing them first before you give people access and a word in your life. Everybody cannot speak into my life. Everybody cannot speak into my life. Everybody does not have weight. Their opinion does not have weight with me because people don't know your story or your journey or your glory. They don't know. They're looking at you from the outside. When people see you, attractive thinker, visual encourager, they see a persona of you. They don't see the real you. They have their own built up perspective of you, which has nothing to do with you. You'd be surprised at what people think when they see you. You're not responsible for what they think. You're not responsible for their perspectives and their opinions. So you can't get yourself tied up into that and let what that experience is being presented to you, let that be a determining factor as to whether you're doing great in your business or not. Tichet, talk to us about this.
Absolutely. Another thing, it is not worth it to give, basically how you wrapped it up. It's not worth it giving up your peace, your joy, your abundance, and your progress for energy vampires
Mm, mm,
who come, like you said, they come to steal your joy.
mm-hmm.
They come, they because they don't have joy of their own.
Yeah.
So they come to steal your joy. But see, here's the thing. What happens when the person who is taking away the joy is yourself
Mm,
from overthinking, for mental self-abuse. Yes, when you talk down to yourself,
yes.
when you have low self-esteem, when you're constantly um, telling yourself you can't and I won't, and you have these negative energies that you have, or the negative view that you have on yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
know what do you do with those?
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's important to have your mental breakfast, lunch, and dinner
Mm-hmm.
so that you build up esteem,
Yeah.
enough self-esteem in yourself to know who you are at the core, to
Yes.
do what's best for who you are, to discover the journey towards your higher self, and to
Mm-hmm.
trust yourself and to listen to your spirit. It is worth it to build that up. It is not worth it to let it go over a situation, because all those situations you just got finished talking about, Toni,
Mm-hmm.
can cause us to get home,
Mm,
take something somebody else said, and beat ourselves over the head with it.
mm, mm,
Or if we have situations that happen and we're overthinking the situations and overthinking, and we're coming up with different things, and we're constantly feeling a certain way about ourselves because we're overthinking that situation, when all we need to know is that in the end, all works out, right?
mm.
When you start protecting yourself and you
Yeah.
know who you are and you know your worth, you
Mhm.
know no matter what happens, whatever situation occur, whatever, you know all is well in the end, right? So one of my problems that I had was overthinking. You said shoulda, coulda, and woulda. When you go to bed at night and you have those shoulda, coulda, and woulda, those are the overthinking terms that we're talking about with when I say overthinking, right? Because we can't go back. We can't change what happened. All we can do is accept it and govern ourselves accordingly, and move past it, right?
Mhm.
But there are some situations that never happened that we have taken and we have um you know uh beat ourselves over the head, or we have taken situations that have happened that we could not control, and we felt bad for responding to it.
Mm,
So it's not worth losing your progress because of overthinking. We have to get out of the habit of overthinking, thinking ourselves into situations that never happened,
mm.
right? Thinking ourselves into situations that will never happen,
Yes.
because it's a possibility that a lot of the thoughts we have may not ever be a part of our journey,
Yeah.
but we stood there and spent a lot of time and energy with those stories.
Yes.
And those stories end up, if you're not careful, it could take away your process. But when you know your progress, but when you know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you can catch it in action
Yes.
and then allow yourself to make a firm decision that you're not going to let
Mm-hmm.
situations, circumstances, energy vampires
Mm-hmm.
take away your progress. You then make a decision to desire to be better, the desire to get well, the desire to work through, the desire to uproot or get to the root and then uproot. You have the desire to keep moving forward. Once you have that desire in place, all of those situations, circumstances, and people are not effective,
Yes.
right? Because what happens is when you get to know yourself, you got a little overflow going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know they got a little overflow going on, right? So when we're not all above trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations are going to happen. We're not all above it. As long as we are living in this physical existence, we are going to have light and we're going to have dark, right? Because it's all, everything exists at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Law of polarity, right? And so when situations happen, both sides present itself, the light and dark. You didn't have a decision which way you want to go. And you talked about that earlier. You talked about the two paths that we get to choose. You get to choose the light and you get to choose the dark.
Mm-hmm.
What is worth you going through the darkness?
Yeah.
Is it what people said? Is it the stories you played in your head? Is it the situation that did happen? What is worth you losing your progress?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There's nothing worth it. And so what we do as attractive thinkers and visionaries, we stop it right in its tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Abruptly stop the overthinking, abruptly
Yeah.
start to make a shift into, this is what I'd rather think than to think that. I would rather think this than to think that. See, the thing is a lot of times we have a hard time thinking that things gonna be well because we think it's being delusional. But my thing is,
Mm-hmm.
if your peace is at stake, wouldn't you rather be delusional if it makes you feel better, right? Until you get through that situation, wouldn't you rather believe that all is well? Let's say, for the sake of conversation, or how people like to put it, the devil's advocate, let's say things don't work out the way that you want them to work out in the end. Why would you drag yourself through it twice?
Mm-hmm.
Why drag yourself through those situations two times, not one time, but two times? And the whole time you got this low energy, and then something happens and you got to deal with that. Wouldn't it be awesome to have your strength build up by believing all is well? So when something doesn't happen or doesn't work out the way that we want them to, we got enough strength to sustain it.
Yes.
Right? Because at the end of the day, our well being is what helps us evolve. Our well being is what helps us move forward, what helps us teach. Our feeling better is what we're giving out into the world, our answers, the
Mm-hmm.
things that we are searching for, the truth seekers out there. When you find truth, what do? You give it out. But how did you find that truth? You had a problem and you found an answer.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So again, this is turning your problems into opportunities. This is turning your problem into an overflow so that other people can learn. So we have to get control of our emotions as much as we can.
Yes.
Some of us are new on this journey,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to take time. It's not overnight. It's like you got, like with exercising, you have to practice. You have to build up over time. You're not going to jump in exercising and just start off with 40 pounds. You might have to start off with 10. Start off with looking at what happens during your day and being and accepting what happens and knowing everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
Start off with paying attention to your thoughts and then choosing a thought that feels better versus choosing a thought that didn't. Because a lot of times, a lot of the pain, I know for myself, a lot of the pain that I went through when I was like so knee deep in depression
Mm-hmm.
was because of thoughts of things that never occurred,
Mm-hmm.
things that never happened. But getting out of that habit of having those things just play out in our head, like you said, Dr. Toni, in one of the masterminds, you said you gotta check them thoughts at the door. You cannot have them thoughts running rampant in your head.
Yes.
Right? You can't let them thoughts just have control like that. That's like letting your kids control your house.
Yes.
Right? The mind, the thinker. You know, you gotta control as much as you can, and understand that you do have a choice to not think those thoughts.
That's right.
You have a choice to not feel that way. A lot of people don't know that they don't have to feel that way. Attractive thinkers know. You've been with us long enough. You know you don't have to stay miserable. You don't have to stay sad. You don't have to stay depressed. You don't have to suffer.
Yes.
If you can get a hold of your mind, it eliminates some of the suffering.
My God.
While you do the work to eliminate the rest. If you get rid of mental suffering, you get rid of just about 90% of your problems, I believe. Because a lot of it is mental, it's not physical. Yes, we have gone through some physical things that has happened, but if you look at how much physical happened to how much mental happened, it's
yeah.
You know, it's not the same. So a lot of our issues are not physical issues. A lot of our issues are mental issues. A lot of our mental issues are not things that occurred. A lot of mental issues are things that did not occur. Of things we were afraid to occur. Of things we were guilted into. Guilty thoughts. We talk about fear, guilt, and shame all the time, right? Because those friends, they come with stuff. They come with a stifling energy that keeps you from being able to move. Exactly. But see, when you understand who you are and you're an attractive thinker, you're a visionary, you don't let those things stop you. You keep going regardless of what situation comes. It's almost like you're unstoppable. You know, I remember Dr. Toni, you said nothing can stop you but a lack of breath. Right. When you understand who you are, you know nothing can stop you but a lack of breath. You literally have to take my breath to make me stoppable. Other than that, I'm going to get up every time. You can knock me down, but you won't knock me out. Right. I'm going to keep getting up. If I have breath in my energy, that's enough breath to fight. That's right. And I'm fighting for what's worth my time, and that's my peace, my joy, and my abundance, and the love for myself. Those things are worth fighting for. But you got to be careful, because some of those fights that you're doing with people is not a fight you need to be involved in. There are some people who is insistent on making you be a part of their misery. And remember, I said 2 weeks ago, misery loves company. You have to promise yourself you are not the company that it keeps. That's a promise you got to keep on. You are not the company that it keeps. People have problems. People are going through stuff, and people want you to sit in their misery when they have no intentions of figuring things out. They have no intentions of getting to the root. They have no intentions of solving the problem. They're going to keep going through it over and over and over again, because they won't listen if a solution presents itself. And what would it be worth our progress to sit there with them? Why? Because they are friends. They are family. Why? What's worth your peace? Family and friends worth your peace? Wow. And I get it, right? We're not saying don't help people, don't help friends and family. This is something we do often. You just have to have discernment and not become a crutch for your friends and family. Yes. You have to be helpful, not crutchy. You know what I mean? Because some people, they will never learn as long as you keep playing God. Yeah. That's right. As long as you keep trying to get in the way of them learning what they need to learn for their spirit to evolve. Right? So we're not saying don't help everybody. We're not saying being selfish. We're saying put self-care up front and see what kind of productivity you have going on. We're saying whenever someone speaks into your life, consider the circumstances, understanding that everything is not for you. Protect your energy in your heart, because your spirit is porous. You're open to receive new information and wisdom. You're open for love. We don't want to block out love. We don't want to block out information that can help us grow. We don't want to block out our blessings, because when you are so restrictive that you're so tight, not only do you block out hate, but you block out love too. So you gotta not have a hardened heart, and you gotta allow yourself to be porous to some extent, But when you are porous, you don't put yourself in toxic situations.
Right.
I'm not going to take my face and dip it in bleach, like I said before. Why? Because I understand that's toxic. So that's something I am not going to take part in. And I have the right to not put toxicness in my face. I have the right to not put toxicness in my body. And some of us know this, not to put toxic in your body, but they don't know not to put toxic in your mind, in your spirit, in your heart. You're okay with accepting toxic in your heart, but you don't want toxic in your body. Like how you do anything is how you do everything. You got to cut out the toxic all around, and it's okay to do that. Some people don't know it's not okay to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The guilt is so covered in a cloak of guilt that
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they have to accept
Mm-hmm.
it for the sake of family, for the sake of she did this for me and she was there for me when I didn't have, and I did this and I did that. How long are you going to let the excuses of family keep you from your progress?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, family is everything. It depends. If you got a toxic family, you might want to reconsider that. I'm not telling people what to choose for their family and their friends, but I'm saying if it's toxic to the point it's stunting your growth, you need to reconsider some things, and it's okay to do so. Why? Because at the end of the day, nobody's sitting in that bed crying with you. You're crying. A lot of times you're crying by yourself, because when you're going through, you can't, you it's hard to find people who can understand you enough to give you a word that's encouraging and uplifting. And this is another reason why Dr. Toni used to do the mastermind, so that people who needed their help could find each other. People like us can find each other.
Yes.
Where she allowed them to come together and do exercises that build up of the mind. These are the activities you want to partake in.
Mm-hmm.
You want to partake in the growth of your spirit, your success. Even if you're dealing with a break of success, what habits do you have in place that you're doing to hold you until your next success? What type of routines and habits of thought do you have going on? Let's pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's monitor what we got going in our heads, and let's allow ourselves to grow and choose wisely. Again, you don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be upset. It's not worth it
Mm-hmm.
to give up how far you have come
Mm-hmm.
for the energy vampires, for the situations that never happened, for the shoulda, couldas, or wouldas. It's not worth it to give up your progress for the sake of letting somebody else feel better than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guilt thing. So you have to determine what's your worth, and determine what's worth your worth. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
So fantastic and amazing. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, when we talk about it's not worth it, I want you to remember this amongst all of the gems that we dropped along the way. You are the person who is running your business, marketing your book, getting behind the things that you created. It is essential that you guard your energy, because if your energy is off the path, who's going to run your business for you? I always used to share with my clients, if you have a headache, so does your business. If you're broken, so is your business, because you and your business are one. What affects your energy flows right through your business. And I'm saying that because I want you to understand the value of you guarding your energy and your heart and your how you feel, you guarding your space and your spirit. It is essential. It's the only way that you're going to reach levels of success, is if you have the proper perspective of people, places, and things, situations, and circumstances, and you make sure that you guard. You have to put a hedge of protection around your spirit, your heart, and your energy, because you are the one that's creating these beautiful, fantastic, and amazing creations with your life, and they must be guarded. Because I say sometimes, and I found myself saying it recently. No, I was invited to. I was like, no, I can't attend And Tichet, you taught me no is a complete sentence. You don't need an explanation. You don't have to share an explanation for that. But there are some people that are close to you and understand you, and you can give an explanation. I had to share. I said, I am the owner of the attractive thinker. Every time I step away, the business stops. The business stops because I am the business owner. And I know we have teams and things like that. Your team needs you. If you're brokenhearted and curled up in a corner somewhere, who is your team going to go to when they need the leader, when they need you? This is why it's important. We're not just saying this just for the sake of talking. If you're going to be successful in your life, you're going to have to put a hedge of protection around your energy and your spirit and how you feel. You can't keep allowing everything, every thought that you have and everything outside of you to break your spirit. Because if they're breaking your spirit, they're breaking your business. They're breaking your idea. They're breaking your transformation. They're breaking that change that you want to take place in your life. So read page 530 in the Attractive Thinker book to fortify this message. Capture these gems, review the notes that you've taken in your Attractive Thinker notebook because you're going to need them going forward. Have your index card. Sit down and decide what perspective of people you're going to have going forward. What is the foundation for handling people? What is your foundation for how you're going to handle people and those encounters going forward so that you, at the end of the day, don't end up in regret, guilt, and shame? Embarrassing yourself for saying the wrong thing, responding the wrong way, or losing a client because of your attitude and your behavior. These things are real. These things are real. And if we don't set up protections and guards around our energy, we can embarrass ourselves. People can catch us off guard. Situations can catch us off guard. Losing a contract can catch you off guard. Losing a deal, endorsement, or sponsorship, that can catch you off guard. So you want to have preset responses. You already know how you're going to respond. Having the proper perspective, like Tasha said. Putting people in categories, understanding who's who, what kind of weight do these people have in my life? Should it matter what they said, or should I feel a certain way, or should I reconsider because this one said that? You have these preset conditions and perspectives in place to help you be successful as you move forward in life. Tisha, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All of you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond a break. Also, my website has a power wall. Feel free to use it. Get something good out of it. Again, my website is www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, visit the attractivethinker.guru for your freebies and check your email after you sign up for your freebies. Check your email every day for the next 5 days. I have something really beautiful in there to support you in reaching your goals. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. Remember to grab your book on Amazon. You're going to need it going forward. Everything that you need to be successful in your business as a new and aspiring entrepreneur is in that resource, and you need a copy of that. You always hear us say, our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.